And when you're next to me, something I can feel so real. You shining bright, so bright, so bright. Shining light, burning bright, so bright. Listen, baby, I gotta get next to you, yeah. I gotta get next to you, yeah. Like an angel in the night, you came and rescued me. Kiss me, set me free from the darkness. Angel in the night time, kiss me, set me free. Kiss me from that misery, yeah. And when you're next to me, something I can feel so real. You shining light, burning bright, so bright. Shining light, burning bright, so bright.
Shalom Mishpachah, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Jeremy Beaton. Today we are reading from the book of Romans, starting at chapter 7. First, I want to show you the books we're reading from today. First book we're reading from is The Hidden Truth, Hebraic Study Scriptures, New Testament, New Covenant, and also The Hidden Truth, Hebraic Scrolls, Complete, small font with commentary. Okay, so both of these books have been transliterated from the Hebrew back to the English by Rabbi Salman Altaf Hakohen with extensive footnotes. Okay, so Without further ado, let's start reading from Romans chapter 7, verse 1. Romans chapter 7, verse 1. 1. Do you not know, brothers, for I speak to them that know the Torah, how that the Torah has authority over a person as long as he lives. 2. For the woman which has a husband is bound by the Torah to her husband, so long as he lives. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the Torah of her husband. 3. So then if, while her husband lives, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the Torah, so that she is not adulteress, though she be married to another man. 4. Therefore, my brothers, you were also put to death to the human law of your husband by the body of Messiah, that ye should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit to Elohim. 5. For when we were in the flesh, the passions of sins, which were through the human law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit to death. 6. But now we are rescued from the human law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of Ruach, spirit, and not in the oldness of the letter. 7. What shall we say then? Is the written Torah sin? Elohim forbid. No, I had not known sin. By the Torah, for I had not known lust, except the Torah had said, you shall not covet. 8. But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. For apart from the Torah, sin is dead. 9. Formerly I was alive without the Torah, but when the command came, sin revived, and I died. 10. And the commandment, which was to result in life, I found it to result in death. 11. For sin, taken occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and through it killed me. 12. Therefore the Torah is set apart, and the commandment set apart, and righteous and good. 13. Was then that which is good made deaf to me? Elohim forbid, but sin, that it might appear sin, working deaf in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. 14. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin. 15. For what work I do, I know not. For what I like to do, that I do not, but what I hate, that I do. 16. If then I do that which I would not, I consent to the Torah that is good. 17. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. 18. For I know that nothing good lives in me, that is, my body. For I want to do the good, but I cannot do it. 19. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. 20. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. 21. I found then, through the human law, that when I would do good, evil is present with me. 22. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim after the inward man. 23. But I see another human law in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the human law of sin, which is in my members. 24. Wretched man that I am, who shall rescue me from the body of this death? 25. I thank Elohim through Yeshua, the Messiah, our Master. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the Torah of Elohim, but with the flesh, the human law of sin. So that now brings us to the end of Romans chapter 7. So let's go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in Romans chapter 7. So the first footnote we have is in verse 1. Do you not know, brothers, for I speak to them that know the Torah, how that the Torah has authority over a person as long as he lives. So let's have a look at this, as long as he lives. This brought the first century teachers of Torah into great hostility with Paulus. Okay? This brought the first century teachers of Torah into great hostility with Paulus. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 4. Therefore, my brothers, ye were also put to death to the human law of your husband. Okay, let's have a look at this. Put to death to the human law. So we have here Paulus switches from the written Torah to the human rabbinic Torah that held people in bondage. Okay, let's read that again. Here Paulus switches from the written Torah to the human rabbinic Torah that held people in bondage. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 5. For when we were in the flesh, the passions of sins, which were through the human law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit to death. So let's have a look at this. So the written Torah was never called death, but gave life. Deuteronomy 30:15. However, the human rabbinic Torah led to death by the myriads of commandments that were hard to keep. Okay, let's read that again. So the written Torah was never called death, but gave life. Deuteronomy 30:15. However, the human rabbinic Torah led to death by the myriads of commandments that were hard to keep. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 6. But now we are rescued from the human law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of Ruach, spirit, and not in the oldness of the letter. Okay, so let's have a look at this, oldness of the letter. So we have here, you would die to human government or human enacted laws in order to be free. The Torah does not hold us captive. The Torah of Moses freed us and did not bind us. Unfortunately, we tend to think Torah is bad, but Torah of Yahweh is freedom, while the law of man is bondage. It is through the Torah we realize what freedom is and what is bondage. So to assume that we have the Torah abrogated would contradict the fact that it is the Torah that points the way. In essence, Torah cannot take away from the Torah. So Paulus's usage of law here is human government versus Yahweh's Torah, which is life. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 8. But sin, taken occasion by the commandment, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Covetousness is not just about having something of others, but it can be wanting something that you already own. Paulus's usage here indicates covetousness to the Torah, which was given to Yashraeli. So he is showing that it had become a problem for him, because he used that to oust the Gentiles by thinking we have a chip on our shoulder. We have the Torah and they have nothing. This is why many in the Messianic movement also, who think they have a chip on their shoulders actually are coveting what is given to Israel and making other returning Gentiles or Ephraimites as though they are second-class citizens. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. And the commandment, which was to result in life, I found it to result in death. Okay, let's have a look at this. So this resulted in death only when people misapplied the Torah of Moses. Okay, let's read that again. So this resulted in death only when people misapplied the Torah of Moses. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 11. For sin, taken occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and through it killed me. Okay, let's have a look at this. So we have here, this is Pharisaic thought. The Talmud says this, Hagigah 16a, if the evil inclination say to thee, sin, and the set apart one, increased be he, will pardon, believe it not, for it is said, trust not in a friend, Micah 7:5, and friend, Ria, means none other, that one's evil inclination, for it is said, for the inclination of man's heart is evil, Ra. So let's read that again. So this is Pharisaic thought. The Talmud says this in Hagigah 16a, if the evil inclination say to thee, sin, and the set apart one, increase be he, will pardon. Believe it not, for it is said, trust not in a friend, Micah 7:5. And friend, Ra, means none other, that one's evil inclination, for it is said, for the inclination of man's heart is evil, Ra. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 13. Was then that which is good Elohim forbid, but sin that it might appear sin, working death in me, by which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. So let's have a look at this. So it was only through the Torah of Yahweh that Paulus recognized sin, and that it would result in death if he allowed it to continue. Even a person that has Torah should note it does not take away sin. Sin still lives and can still kill, but the one who trusts in Yahweh, it is Yahweh's promise to rescue. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 14. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin. Okay, so let's have a look at this. All men have Yetzer Hara, evil inclination. So they are spiritually sold to sin by being tied to their flesh. We can only obey Torah through the set-apart spirit, else we struggle to keep all the commandments. The Ruach HaKadosh, set-apart spirit, is our mother to guide us to the Abba's Torah and how to keep it. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 19. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Okay, let's have a look at this. So Paulus repeats the thoughts of the prophets and also personifies the Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, as the evil or the person that resides in us, causing us to do that which is not good. Ecclesiastes 7:20 iterates this thought as, there is not a righteous man on earth that does good and does not sin. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 21. I find then, through the human law, that when I would do good, evil is present with me. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Human law would not allow a good to come through it. There is wrestling of the flesh and the spirit. The Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, takes over because it wants to rule the man. This is the human law. That will kill us if we continually act on it or act it out. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 22. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim. So let's have a look at this. So, different from the human law. The Torah of Moses is good. Okay, so let's read that again. Different from the human law. The Torah of Moses is good. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 23. But I see another human law in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the human law of sin. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Human law of sin. So if we allow the Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, to take over, then that is what rules our life, and we will be controlled by it, and live and die by it. Okay, so we have a continuation, which is in my members. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So Paulus is doing a comparison against the human law, which is Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, in rabbinic thought was much talked about, which takes us to death, and the Torah of Yahweh that frees us from sin. These two are opposing forces, battling with each other in the spiritual realm in man. The Ruach's job is to free us from the sin by causing us to obey Torah. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 24. Wretched man that I am, who shall rescue me from the body of this death? Okay, so let's have a look at this. So Paulus is lamenting who will free us from Yetzer Hara, evil inclination. Okay, let's read that again. So Paulus is lamenting who will free us from Yetzer Hara, evil inclination. Okay, so that now brings us to the end of Romans chapter 7. So I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Jeremy Beaton saying thank you for watching, and Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name for the kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.